Fine. So what we have seen the previous day was that we were trying to do a controller which is sort of a servlet and which will help to display the JSP page. Now, in doing so, what we have encountered, that there is some problem. What is the problem? Problem was that it was not getting the second page, which is the second JSP page, the result page being called. Initially, the first one, because I'm already doing it over the browser and giving the address, so it directly goes and hit the first one. So landing page for the first page, there isn't any problem. But when it is going back to the controller and trying to fetch the next page, the result page for the sum, it was getting a problem. What was the problem was that, let's go back to the program. Okay, let me open the previous. See, this was the new project that we were trying to build. That Spring MVC boot training. Let me open this project. Are you able to see the screen clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the project has been loaded. Now I can go to I have created 2 packages. In the first package, which is com.pcs global.spring boot main, I have kept the main application, and I was doing something that earlier I was trying to make this com.pcs global dot some controller. So both of these were on the same level. That is the cause of the problem. So if I am to make another package by the name controller, I have to go through the root. Now, wherever the root application is, the main application will be considered as the root package. So I have to expand from the root package if I have to expand the number of packages. Understood? Now it is correct. I'm giving the root package, which is com.pcs global.spring boot main up to this, then dot controller, where I have kept the home controller. Okay. I'm opening this home controller.
Sir, I have created application still working.
Sorry. Hello.
I have created. Hello, sir. I'm Santan.
Shantan, tell me.
I have created application.java and home controller in the same package. It's also working.
Yeah. If you are creating see, as far as the package goes, you did not make any package. So by default, whenever you are creating any class or class, so all those will be in the default package. Okay. So you can keep one package where you are keeping all the files. That's fine. But suppose if you are, so if I had only one package called com.pcs global.spring boot main, and I have kept the main package, the main class, then I also have kept the home controller.java class as well into the package, then there is no problem. But once I try to separate out the programs according to the category, like this is a controller program, this is the main program, and within the package I will like to segregate out, then I have to maintain a hierarchy. That means the main package should be in a root package, and the other packages that I create will be created from the main package. So up to this portion has to be the same. Otherwise, it cannot go back to the home controller, because it is always trying to find something from the main application package. But your controller is in a separate package. Therefore, it was not being able to go back to the home controller. Now it is not a problem. So another thing is, let's say initially I was not having any application. So let's say this is empty. All these are remarked out. Okay. All these are remarked out. That means you can consider this as an empty. There is no application properties, application or properties file is empty. Okay. After that, I know that for any web application, because it is a Spring Boot web application, I have to create under main a web app. And under web app, I have kept index.jsp and result.jsp. There are two JSP files, which I'm going to call. I'm going to call it from the controller. So what is the controller saying? The controller is saying that I am a controller. I'm a class, but I'm at the same time a controller with this annotation. And then saying with another annotation for this particular, this annotation works for the accompanying function or accompanying class. Now, this is the controller for the accompanying class. This is the annotation for the accompanying what? Function. This is an annotation. This is an annotation for the accompanying function. Right? You cannot have any annotation without any either class or function. Just remember this. So what this annotation is doing, it is saying that I'm requesting a mapping from the, that means either I give a slash on the URL or I give nothing. So if that is the mapping, then I will definitely call this particular home function. What is that home function? It is returning a string. And what is the string? It is returning, it is calling index.jsp. Now, whenever the controller gives an instruction like index.jsp, then the compiler knows, or the runtime engine knows of the Spring framework knows that index.jsp must be there under web app. It cannot be under main or src. And therefore, I have created web app. So index.jsp will be found there. But here you have to mention .jsp because there is no application properties. I have not done any configuration like this. These are all remarked out. So I'm not considering application properties, no configuration. So I will keep everything like the JSP or the CSS or the images all under web app. Fine. Another request mapping annotation, I'm saying that I'm using an annotation for request mapping for this function add, which is also returning a string. And that return string is the another JSP page I'm calling. How? Now, this index JSP is a form where I will be inputting two numbers, num1, num2, and then I will press submit. And when I press submit, it will do something. So, and that submit will call an action called add. Okay, let me open the index JSP and the result JSP. So index JSP says that after I have entered the two numbers, I will okay, what I'm doing is I'm saying that this is the home controller because the controller is home controller.java. And what I'm saying is just a remark, a document remark on the document itself, on the browser itself. And it's a home controller servlet. And the action after I give a submit is to add. So it will come back to the home controller. The home controller says that in the index JSP, there is a action add. So where do I get? Definitely I must be searching for some request mapping called add. Oh yes, it is there. So once add, and this request mapping is working on which function? Add. So it will execute this function. And what it is that function doing? It is parsing or getting the parameter which was been added in index JSP. Okay. So that num1 and num2 which you have added in index.jsp will be accepted or captured through the get parameter request as a request parameter. And then because this is an object, but it is a string object, whatever you do, see, whenever you are getting something, you are inputting something, you are inputting as a string. So that string object needs to be converted back to an integer because I want to do some arithmetic operation. So I'm parsing it to an integer. Therefore, I is an int. So when sum is I plus j, so it's an arithmetic operation. Therefore, I needed to convert it to integer. Okay. So string object converted as a parameter. Parameter is holding the value, whether you have input 30, 40, whatever number. That value is represented by the parameter, and you are capturing that from the request object. This is the HTTP request object, HTTP servlet. HTTP servlet request. This one. So this parameter is there in the request object, which you are converting back to the integer wrapper class, and that explicitly or implicitly, internally, it is converted to int, typecasted to int. Internal typecasting. Okay. And after that, it is sum. These are all Java funda. Then sum I plus j. Now, what you are doing, how will you pass it on that sum into the session? What you do, you capture an HTTP session. HTTP session is a class which is having this object. We are creating this session object. You can give any name. And this session is trying to use the request object to get the session. So that request object with the parameter num1 and num2 is creating a session object. And in that session object, it is setting the attribute with a key sum, with a value sum. Is it clear? After it has done all these things, what will it do? It will return, that means it is calling the result.jsp, but you have to mention .jsp. Okay. Up to this, okay. Another thing is pom.xml, right? This is the main application. And then there is a pom.xml. In the pom.xml, when you created that Spring Starter project, all these things are done. Only one thing you have added, because in this diagram, what you see, a JSP cannot pass in the response to the client. It has to be converted back to the servlet. Servlet can only accept the request or send the response. Therefore, we need a Jasper utility or a library of Tomcat. This person is going to help you to convert the JSP into servlet. This is what I have captured or I have injected a dependency through the pom.xml into my project. But that dependency, I know it is there available in the mvnrepository.com, Maven repository. Okay, I think I have shown you how to do that. You go there. Where is that? Yeah. This is the Maven repository, mvnrepository.com. You just have to type Jasper because you know you need to have Jasper. So you see Tomcat Jasper. You can either click here or click here. And you are selecting a particular version. What version I have to know that I have used a version of Tomcat 9.0.56. So I will also pick up 9.0.56, this one. Once I say this, then I get, see, under Maven, I will not go to Gradle because I'm not using Gradle. I am going to use Maven, this thing, build, Maven build. So this build will have a, you just copy it, Control C, and go back to your POM file and just paste it. Okay. Before the dependencies close. Up to this part, any question? See, all these dependencies, there are two dependencies, but that was added during the project creation. Here you have added this. After you have added this, you will see that in the Maven dependencies, you will have the Tomcat Jasper. Yeah, Tomcat Jasper 9.0.56.jar has been added. Up to this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now it is the time to execute this. See, I have a directory called web app where my JSPs are there. And I am mentioning in the home controller that I will mention with not only result, it is result.jsp or index.jsp. Full name. Let me execute this. How to execute this? You go to the Spring Boot application, this main program, which is there under this, and just you can say run as Spring Boot app. So it has started. Then I go to, I will say localhost. Colon, my Spring Boot is working on 8080. I can give this as well, or you may not give. Let me give this. Okay. Yeah. This is for the home controller servlet. So I go there. Do I have this message? Yes, I have this. Let me give another break. So there can be a gap. Or you can say, okay, yeah, that is fine. See, this is an index JSP. So I do not need to stop it. I can just directly say relaunch. That's fine. But if you are changing anything on the servlet or POM, which is there on the back end, that is on the server, then only you have to rebuild. That means you have to stop and then relaunch. Okay, it has started. Now I go there. I again type in localhost 8080. You see, there is a break, double break. So it is more clean now. It is saying that some message is there. This is for the home controller servlet. Fine. I enter a number. Okay. Another thing, you are seeing index JSP page, the title. So we can check that. Yes. I go to index. Yes, the title is index.jsp page. And also you will see that home page requested on the console. That is a very important observation. For debugging purpose, we will always give this. Where?
Home controller.
In the home controller, whenever I am using a slash or nothing, I am printing out on the console home page requested. There is the landing page, and then I'm calling the index.jsp. Fine. I go there. Yes, this is getting printed. Sorry, this is from the index page, but this one getting printed on the console. Fine. I go there. Then I will enter a number, say 30 and 56. And then I submit. Once you submit, you will see something change on the address. Yes, you see, do you see that add has been there on the request parameter?
Yes.
Yes. So localhost 8080 add, because it is calling another page, another JSP page, and it is showing the result is 86. So let us see, that must be something from the controller. It has gone back to the main controller, the home controller, and it is saying that, okay, index.jsp's work is done. And after it is then, it is index.jsp says that I will do an action whenever the submit is there, then I will do an action of add. So it will go back to the home controller. Home controller says that, okay, in that index.jsp has asked me to do something, call something of a function which has a request mapping annotation with a parameter called add. So this add is nothing but a action from some JSP page or HTML page. Clear?
Yes,
So now it is calling this add function. It has gone inside this. It is giving a HTTP sublet request as an object body, because this one has created some request, and that request will be captured in the request body of HTTP sublet request. And from that request body, I am fetching the parameter num1, num2. Num1 and num2 are nothing but these two text fields. So in this, you have entered anything, whether it's a number or anything, it will be always alphanumeric or a string. So that string is captured in num1 and num2. What I'm doing, I'm coming here, I'm saying that I'm capturing this num1, converting the web back to integer, and that integer will be typecasted to int. Similarly for this one, num2 as well. Then it is very simple. I will say sum equal to I plus j. And through a session, I've created a session object. I'm setting the attribute of the result, that is the sum. This is the key and this is the value. Attribute will have an attribute name and the attribute value. You can give any name. Addition. You can give addition. So what change you have to do? Where? When you call this result JSP
Result.
attribute addition, where do you need to change?
Result JSP.
In the result JSP, you have to, instead of sum, you have to give addition.
Addition.
Clear? Let me do this
Yes,
change.
sir.
Let me do this change. Let's, there is some simple change. I've made it, sorry, I've made it, instead of sum, I've given this is the key, but the actual value is there. I will save it. And now I will try to, I will stop this because I have made some changes in the, the servlet, and I will launch it. Okay. Now I go back. Okay, from here there is no change. Let's say 65, 56. I say submit. See, I'm getting the same result. So doesn't matter whether I have given the, you see the home page requested one time, it is there. So whether I have given sum or addition doesn't matter. Better I will change it to sum just to maintain the.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So the first example, is it fine? Now my next target is, I'm not happy. I would not like to keep everything under web app. I would like to create view. Maybe I would like to create what is that I want to create? A folder. Okay. Yeah, I will go to new and folder. I will say under this thing, JSP pages or views or view pages. Huh? Either it's an HTML or JSP, I will all keep it under this particular folder. Finish. Okay, and then I would like to pick up this and put it here. So I have not kept anything under web app, but web app is a must. And then I say under view pages, I have kept index.jsp and result.jsp. Now, without doing anything else, I'm not using application properties. Application property is empty or all thing is remarked. I had made some changes over here. Let me see whether it can pick it from here. Okay. And what happens? I will stop this because this is a structural change. I have to stop the server and again start this. Okay, go back here. I will say refresh. You see, immediately it gives, okay, let me type it. Was there any change in the controller? Was there any change in the index.jsp or result.jsp? Nothing, no code changes. I only changed the position from the web app to view pages. I've organized my folders that I'm trying to keep all the CSS file under CSS folder under web app, all the JSP HTML files under view pages of web app, and I will like to keep all my images into an images folder under web app. So right now I do not have any CSS file, nor I have any images. Only what I have is JSP file. So I have made a folder, separate folder, and kept the files there. But let me check whether it's running. No, it is giving a white label error. So white label error page indicates that your program is not wrong. It is not very incorrect, but only the problem is that your mapping, I'm not being able to find out the JSP page. Okay. So in that case, how do I solve this? we have something called a JSP page cannot be included in a Spring project. By default, a JSP page cannot be understood by the Spring project, any Spring project. What you have to do is, first of all, you have to include the Jasper, the plugin. You have to, not the plugin, the libraries of Jasper, the jar file. At the same time, if you want to change the default directory to something other than web app, you have to do this. Let me go back to this thing. There is a, you will have under SRC main resources, you will have application properties. Go there and you say this. To enable JSP pages mapping with extension and path under SRC main web app. So this has to be there. Under this, you want to specify that there is a particular folder under which I will keep all the .jsp files. Then you have to say Spring MVC. This is the property. Spring MVC view prefix. Okay. What do I need to do? View pages, isn't it? And what should be the extensions? Spring MVC view suffix .jsp equal to .jsp. Once you do this, save it. Then go to your home controller. What you do, since you have already mentioned JSP, you do not need to mention, because you have given the suffix .jsp. Understood? Okay, first of all, let me keep it. One by one, we will see. So what we have done right now, we have moved under the view pages and then use the application properties to configure, to let the runtime engine know that my .jsp files are all under view pages of web app. Clear? Any questions? But I am keeping the JSP. Let's see what happens. So I have done some changes. I will go there. Any type of configuration changes like POM file or application properties, any configuration changes, you must rebuild. So my build is over. I go back to here. I say local host 8080. Okay, that error still happens. Okay, let me go back. Now I will take out that JSP. See, immediately it works. Any questions? So what I did, are you following me or you are getting confused?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Following sir. Following sir.
Yes. So initially I had all my JSP, HTML and everything under web app. That is mandatory. My file was working if I had index.jsp or result.jsp. Fine. When then next thing I did, I wanted, see, as a developer, I will keep on organizing my files, because today you are only one developer. Tomorrow there can be 10 more developers. And each developer, if they start writing their the JSP and index, everything into one folder like this one, it is very confusing. So see, all the individual persons will have their individual application folders. Somebody will like to give it a name, my view pages, or somebody else will work on some other folder. Better to have folders. But whenever you are merging, because all the 10 developers are doing the same work in the project, maybe they are all working on different modules. But finally, when you deploy, you will be giving one release to the customer. Then it becomes very simple to handle, because your application, see, ultimately, this is all this structure will not go. What will go is one executable, right? So all will be merged under one executable. So there will be no clash.
Okay, sir.
Clear? So it's always better to organize your files, because there is a GitHub. So your release and everyone else release will go to a particular branch of that GitHub, of the repository. Anyway, that is a different topic. Okay. But try to understand that my change was that I have created a folder under web app where I'm trying to organize or keep all my JSP and HTML files under this. So what I did, I had to configure it. I said that please find this view. Okay, this you cannot change, because that is the class definition. Up to this is one configuration parameter. Okay, prefix and suffix of what? Of Spring MVC view.
Yes, sir.
After all, this is a Spring MVC, and the view means the view, which is either the JSP or HTML page.
Yes, sir.
Just 1 minute. Hello. Huh? আচ্ছা, অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি এখন তো কাজ করছি আর কি, আমি বিজি আছি। ওকে। Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, this prefix and suffix order function, sir.
No. These are configuration parameters
Okay, sir.
given by Spring itself.
Okay.
That you are configuring, you are letting the Spring know. You say Spring. You have to know this Spring. Spring dot. I don't know why my computer is a bit slow today. So you say Spring.mvc. See, so many things are there under MVC. But what are you interested in? You are interested in the view. So you see in the view, there are only two parameters, view prefix and view suffix.
This is okay.
Followed. This is,
Yes,
I am
sir.
not creating anything of my own. It is given by Spring only. These are the
Oh.
configuration parameters.
Okay, sir.
And by suffix, I say suffix means something which is resulting after the dot. So in that case, I'm saying that all the files which are with .jsp should be there. Suppose you have not only JSP, you have HTML as well in that same directory. So you say view and you say suffix equal to .html. You can say that. Okay. Here you cannot have. So what is saying? It is saying that it is a duplicate. So you cannot have a duplicate suffix. So in case you have the HTMLs as well, how will you specify that?
First mention prefix.
Oh, you cannot mention in one file, in one application properties, see, this is getting a duplicate prefix. So in that case, I will give you a task. You can find it from the net. Suppose you want to have multiple, see, this is one parameter, configuration parameter. You cannot have duplicate. But how do you mention multiple extensions? Let's say you will have under this, you will have, see, application properties will be only one file. But this folder is one. But in this folder, you want to keep HTML file as well. How will you mention that? That is what you have to
Only
find out.
one folder.
In the same folder, I want to keep JSPs and HTMLs.
Mm.
Another folder, I will keep another folder. I will keep, but the problem is I have only one application properties.
Oh, अच्छा, अच्छा.
So you can have multiple prefixes and multiple suffixes, but not
Yes.
as line number 4 and line number 5. How do you solve this problem? Followed. Let's say I will have another folder under web app where I will keep all the CSS files. But your application property is only one. Anyway, you will try to find it out. For our case, I will like to put everything under one folder. So only suffix will keep on changing, not the prefix. So
Okay.
this will remain the same. But here there will be CSS file, there will be HTML file, and also the images. So how will you solve this problem? That you will also have to find out. Let us proceed. So is that clear? How you have done that?
Yes, sir.
So in that case, you do not give any .jsp or .html. You just simply mention the file name without the suffix. Clear? If you run this, what will happen is you save this, run this. You go back. So now it works. Okay. Certainly. It is calling add. So this part having done, let us move on. Let's say, so up to that, Tomcat Jasper, and you are using the user input from the JSP file and passing that as a parameter in the attribute, session attribute, and all the stuff. That part is done. Now we will see how you can do it through the request parameter, request param. Okay, let me create let me go back. Here, home controller, and I would like to copy this copy this and another same, because there is also a controller file. I will just say paste in the same package. What do I would like to give the same name. So home controller request param. Followed. What I have done, I have just copied this and created this. So, but these two are different programs, because here we have used the session and all the stuff. Here we are trying to do something else. We are going to use the request parameter. And we, like here, home controller, we have created one session object, right? And we have to set the attribute and all the stuff. What I will do, this is cumbersome. I would like to simplify my program. I will use the request parameter. Let us see how do we do that. So request param. I'm copying this. I'm not going to type it for you again. What I'm doing is, this is, just remember, this is your Spring MVC boot training. So I'm putting here. What I've done, I'm just giving a comment. Spring MVC request parameter. What is that? To simplify the passing of the input parameters, processing for some, and then passing the result in result.jsp, we use request param annotation. This annotation is going to reduce my code. Use HTTP session object provided by Spring in the add method argument. So I will use that add method, but I will use the HTTP session object provided by Spring, not by Tomcat. Earlier in this, we are using that session object, HTTP session, from Tomcat. But then we are using a Spring framework. So Spring says that I have a better way. I have an annotation through which I can give you an annotation which will use the HTTP session that I have provided in my framework. Let me just check that. Copy this, and this is the fine. From here to here, I will remove. Don't worry, I will just tell you what we have done. I save it. Now what is happening is, I will close this. I have come back to my new project. There I have, let me close this, because right now I do not have to do with the POM. I do not have to do much with this, because that is the main application. That is fine. I would like to use index.jsp and result.jsp. And application properties, you have already known what is there. So do I need to keep it open? Okay, let it be open. So I had earlier, I had home controller. We have seen that we are creating a session from the, basically from Tomcat HTTP session. And I'm using that object, setting the attribute. But now I have advanced a bit. I am using the Spring technology, where Spring is saying that, okay, don't worry, I am going to reduce your code, simplify your code. How? Like this. See, same thing. I am creating a class. This is the class that I have created, right? The way you create a class. Then I have added controller annotation, which will make this class a controller class. And once you have added this, this is the Spring framework is giving you that controller class, the annotation. Now, once you say request mapping, yes, request mapping annotation is also given by Spring framework. You say that I am using this function home, but now I will call this. Earlier, I was calling this with a slash. That is here. I was calling this with slash, the index page.
Yes.
Okay. But now I'm going to call this, let's say I have given a name index, but that is a request param. So I will say request param RP, index RP. See, this is one project, but these are various different servlets. How you will relate to how one servlet will call other servlet. All these things are very, once you have a knowledge of JSP servlet, you can relate easily. But let me assume that you do not have any JSP servlet knowledge. Servlets are nothing but the Java program. Like the class, this is a class. But this is a controller class as well. So I have included, this is the only difference. I have used the controller annotation given by Spring framework to define this class as a controller class, which has a different meaning. So that makes this class a servlet class, a controller class. With the, if we go by this diagram, so we are actually, this is a controller, which is nothing but a servlet, this servlet controller. Okay. So this is the part of, out of MVC, this is the C controller. And then this is another annotation saying that I would like to annotate the function home, but with a parameter saying that I will request mapping. The mapping should be like that. Whenever I will type the URL, I will give that index RP. Okay. Index RP, just a short name. I have given a name, just a name. And then this defines that home. What I'm saying is I'm also requesting the home page, but now it is with request parameter with a new technology from Spring. Earlier, this one was just a home page requested. Ordinary way, the way you call a page. But now I'm saying just to identify that, see, here I will understand that which page has been called, whether it is from the controller, home controller request param, or only the home controller. So to make a differentiation, I have done that. Is it clear? You will see, then you will understand. And return index means you are calling that index.jsp. I will not, I could have created another index rp.jsp. I could have done that. But let me use the same index file. I don't want to make number of programs more than required. I will use that index. I will just modify something over here. Okay. But this page is requested by the home controller with a request parameter. Okay. And I will say, here I had said add with the action of index. When the submit was happening, that I had an action add, but I have another action that add, but with a request parameter RP. I've given some difference is there. In this, I just see here, what was the add function doing? It was having a HTTP servlet request as a class in instantiating a request object. I'm trying to simplify all these things. My add is now something like this. This is the add function. This is the action. This is the action on this function. But now I'm saying directly that I want, see here what I did. I had to integer parse int request dot get parameter num1 int I, and then I have said sum equal to I plus j. Here what I'm doing is simplifying. In the very add function, in the parameter, in the arguments, I am giving the first argument as num1 by using the request param. Now this request param is also an annotation given by Spring Framework. Okay, let's say you have removed this. Immediately you will see some problem here, some error. What you do, you know that control what? Control space.
Yeah.
Immediately once you give control space, it has created that request param import. You don't have to type a single word. Clear? So what I'm doing, I'm using this annotation. I'm saying what is the parameter? See, the parameter is num1, num2. These are called parameters. So I'm mentioning that parameter, but what is the type of that parameter? I am explicitly converting into I, int I. See, I have avoided writing the whole this thing. Isn't it better? I also didn't have to write HTTP servlet request.
Yes, yes.
I have just giving request parameter, which is request param, which is annotation, and specifying the parameter and specifying that I want to convert that into an INTI. Similarly, the second request parameter num2 int j. And finally, HTTP session. That's all. You have created this object. You have created this j. You have created this I from num1, num2, and session. See, you have replaced 1, 2, 3, and 4. No, not 4. 3 lines, at least 3 lines. 1, 2, and 3 lines by a single line. So I will always go for this particular, the request mapping. Okay. And once you get I and j, you just sum it up and set the attribute of the session with, because that is the object, with sum, or you can say whatever, and then the actual value, and then call result. Result will display that sum. So let me execute this. Any questions here? But you have not done anything with index. You have to do that. Why? Because you have used only add. What about, you are not using add, you are using add RP. So don't you think you have to create this one? What I'm doing is, now this is for home controller. Just the message. isn't it? Home controller request servlet, request param servlet, and BR, you can also say HR. And what should be here?
Add RP.
Add RP. Rest, everything is fine. Anyone?
So
Any?
in the same page, I can write the home control JSP page.
Yeah, this is just a text that will be displayed. Like here it is displayed.
Okay.
Oh, I have removed it, but we will see that. This is just a message, HTML message, HTML text.
Yes, sir.
Then my action in this case changes. This is the action. Earlier it was add. Now it is add with request parameter. And where it is going to get this, it will come back here and check, okay, add wrap is there under this thing. And of course, whenever you say index RP in the URL, it is definitely hitting this controller, home controller request parameter. Okay, let us see, then we will understand. Note, the above add is now more tidied up with the use of request param annotation. Instead of using HTTP servlet request object, there is also no need of getting the HTTP session created. Clear? This is a better form. Now I have done some changes. Is that fine? Yeah, this is also done. So I will go to stop and then start. Okay, the Tomcat has started. Let me go there. Let me local host 88. Oh, sorry. 80. Let me start with slash. Oh, I should have given this. Okay, let me close this. Okay, let me again. Now, since I have only done the change in the JSP, I just can launch. Yeah, there are two because I have used the same index JSP, right? This is the same index JSP.
Yes, sir.
Now, you see, this is the index JSP page. I would like to go there. Okay, fine. What happened is you first go there. Homepage requested. Homepage requested because I have used the slash. So slash means homepage requested. See. So therefore, I have called the home controller. Like in this, there are various requests and it will call the particular controller, front controller. So if it was home controller, it is trying to call the home controller. It was, if the request was with a slash, that is without, that is the default, then it is calling the home controller. If it was with index RP, it will call home controller request param, right? That controller.
Yes, sir.
So here I have started with slash or nothing. So it has called the default, and then that you can verify that it has called the home controller. Now, I say 30, I say 40, but where? So now when I submit, which one will be called? Which action will be called?
Add.
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 You see, add is called. Add. And it is calling the result page. That's fine. I go back. Okay, let me check here. Home page requested only once. Fine. Now, I refresh this. See, once you refresh, that means you have again come back to the home page, that's the home controller. Refresh means you have not given any particular page to open. It has again come back. I will now give it 45, 45 and submit. Do you see it is calling add RP?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
So,
And you go there.
why is calling RDRP, sir? ARDRP? Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Why will it not call AR? Because you have put in, this is the home controller request param servlet. You are using a submit, and this submit is the second submit. Go there again, index JSP. Index JSP, you are on the second page. On the second, not page, second section. You are here. You have put in this value over here. So where are you using? You are using this submit, the second submit, this submit, and this submit, that is important. This submit, when you click, this is an event. When you handle this event, that action is ADDRP because it is in the same project. So the sublet, the Tomcat will go and try to find out where is that add RP executed or defined. It goes into home controller. It doesn't find any add RP. It goes to the second controller. It finds add RP. And this particular function. So it is actually executing this. Clear? That's why you are seeing that it is coming with add RP. Clear? See, home page requested. Now I will request the same page, or maybe I will go back, or I can, what do I give?
Index RP.
Index RP. This is what I'm doing. I am calling directly the home controller, this controller I'm calling. Why? Because I have called with a request mapping of index RP. Index RP. Now I press enter. Once I press enter, I go there. Do you see that home page requested request parameter? So which controller has been called? This is the controller, home controller, because this is the request mapping you have called. So it is calling this home function. And it is also returning the same index page. Yes, it has returned the same index page. You see, the same index page. Clear? So that is a proof that you have called the home page, that means this one, home controller request param. After that, Acha, if you do this, will it give you any problem? No. But according to this submit, it will call the appropriate post action. But does it mean that it will go for the page request? No, it is still under home page request. That means, see the beauty of this. It goes back to the servlet, I mean to the Tomcat. And Tomcat decides now with this submit, which controller will be called. With this submit means you have clicked on this submit. So the action is add. So the Tomcat now decides that it will go to basically the Spring. It is the Spring framework which is sitting on the Tomcat. Is now because it knows that it has clicked on the add action. So add action is a property of home controller, because you see the request mapping is add. So it will go here. Therefore, you are seeing this add. Up to this point, clear?
Yes, sir.
But always, I would like to go for home controller, though the results will be the same, but I would like to use this format of the function where I can avoid at least 3 lines. Num1, num2, and think of if there are 10 parameters that you wanted to add or do something. So will you keep on using this syntax? So many 10 lines will be there. Here, you are having only 1 line. You keep on saying comma, 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 request param. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you see the page, sir, again?
Which page?
Sir, this page. Sir, line number 27, I have not understood, sir.
That is the syntax of request param, request mapping. Sorry,
Oh,
not the request mapping. Sorry, the request param.
yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Because that is the annotation. That's why we are trying to use 2 different controllers. One home controller where we have no request param, but another controller where we are using request param to show you the difference.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Here you have to declare the HTTP servlet request. All these things are not needed. You just have to use the request param.
Okay, sir.
So under the request param, all your HTTP servlet request and request response, all these things will be there. So only in this add function, you are putting in this add, you can give it anything, addition, any function name. Function name doesn't matter. If I say save, and I can again build it. Again, I run it. Local host 8080/index RP. It will call the index page because both of the places I have called index. And okay, I have to give a submit, no? 3445. Once I say submit, it will call add RP. See, now my function has changed, but my mapping, request mapping hasn't changed. See, I have changed the function name of the function, but my request mapping has not changed. Therefore, if I go to index, I do not have to change the action. But if you say REQ param. Then you have to change the displays as well. Okay. Let me save this, and again go there. It is calling add RP.
Sir, you haven't stopped. Sir, you haven't stopped the server.
Oh, okay. See, that is the problem. I have changed in this also, na? Yeah. So that is why you need to stop and restart. So I will just press enter. So it is refreshed. And you see you have called this home controller request param, because it is giving this. After that, I go there, I will say 33. Yeah, now you see it has changed. Clear, Anirban and others?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So can I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because if you practice, you will get to know what is happening. Now, my next topic is, we have done this. Let's see model and view. This is a very interesting topic. Model. See, up to now, we are using controller. We were also using view, right? The JSP. But now we are including something of a model, which is very important for our latter stages when we are going to access the JPA database. You have to have a concept of model. Model is what we have discussed. Did we discuss model? Yes. That is which can process or hold data. The entity. This is nothing but model is nothing but entity. What is an entity? Entity is nothing but an object which can encapsulate data, which can have data, ensure the security of the data by using the getter and setter. Okay, so it basically it is a store, data store. It knows how to handle the data, how to secure the data, how to use entity bins. Okay, so I am coming to that model. We have used controller, we have used view. Now we are trying to use the controller to control the model and the view. So we are learning this topic now. Let's say we are going to create this home controller, like we have done with home controller request param. We are trying to create this one. First of all, we go there. Where? In this. Let me copy this. Copy this, go to the package and say paste on this package. And then I will what was the name? What was the name?
Home controller model view.
I just use the copy paste. So I have created another one, home controller model view. So I can close this one. I will open this home controller model view. Okay. At the same time, I will go to this one. I will home controller model view, and I will first of all copy this. Okay, and this is in the same package, fine. So from this point, I have to copy. Okay, I can close this. I will check what is needed here. So I will also close this. I will see what is needed here. Okay. This is a model and view usage. How we are doing the same thing, they're adding two numbers, but in a different way and better way. Clear? We have started from just using the Tomcat way of session management. And after that, we have used the request param. And now we are using the model and view. So this is a class, but which is also a controller. That's fine. So the controller thing is there. Then this is request mapping. So request mapping annotation is also included. Fine. And we are seeing this as, let me give it the same uniform name as model view MV. Let me name it as index MV. We are calling this index page. This is the request mapping. That is the URL. The URL that we are going to give. And this request mapping is going to call this page, the function home. What it is doing, I will like to just to differentiate that it is model and view. Home page requested, but through model and view. This architecture of Spring. I am again calling it the same index. I'm not going to create another index page just to use this particular controller. So controller is calling the same. You can make it separate. That's fine. And the form action add MV. Yeah. And here I'm trying to have some request mapping, which is for the post action add MV. So what I will have to do, I will go to index page. I will again copy like from here. Okay. Now this is something else. So what is that? I go to index. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And here, what do I give? Add model and view. As you have given here, the name as request mapping add MV. Okay. I have to give the same action. The rest remains the same. Clear? I will save this.
Yes, sir.
I will go here. Very simple. This is another method. In this method, I see I am returning MV, which is nothing but a model and view. See, earlier we were returning a page or calling a page. Here we are calling a model and view object. So this is a model and view. If you check, you go there, you press Control, open the declaration. So model and view is a defined, Spring has defined this as a class. Holder, see, this is the definition of the class. Holder for both model and view in the web MVC framework. First point. Note that these are entirely distinct, that model and view are entirely distinct. This class merely holds both to make it possible for a controller to return both the model and view in a single return value. Followed? So what is the view?
JSP.
JSP, the presentation layer. And what is the model? This framework, this model and view class is trying to hold both. For the controller, it enables the controller to hold both the model and the view in a single return. So it returns you MV, but actually it is returning you both in a single return. And what is model? Model is nothing but the entity, the table. Okay. The table.
Yes, sir.
Because ultimately this model will map to a table in the database. There is a database. I think you had that view. Let me check. Where was it? Okay, maybe that is in the JSP servlet. Anyway, that doesn't matter. You try to understand that model is nothing but it maps to, yeah, later on also we will understand when we are going to learn the ORM and the JPA. So in this model, it is nothing but a container which will hold the data and it will map one-to-one with a particular table in a database. So it is called an entity. In this model and view object, it is holding both the model and the view. Represents a model and a view returned by a handler to be resolved by a dispatcher servlet. Now, after all, this controller is a dispatcher servlet. The view can take the form of a string view name, which will need to be resolved by a view resolver. It doesn't matter. You can go through it. But what I'm trying to say, this model and view is the class. So I am saying the return type is model and view class, and the function name is add. Any name you can give. In that I'm passing the request param. So the request param it is an annotation. Request param, because I have to pass in the parameters num1, num2 for int I, int j. But this has removed that HTTP session, right? There is no need for HTTP session object passed as argument. Why? because the model and the view class is acting like a session object here. It will help you to pass on the attribute, basically the model, into the view. So what I'm saying is I'm creating an object MV with the class model and view with new. This is the this is the constructor, and I'm just passing. See, this model and view can enable you to pass in the view as well. So you are saying that yes, I'm carrying the model as well as I will call the result. I mean that JSP page, the view. This declaration takes away the need of using. You can either go by declaring this model view MV. You are creating a new model view object and then setting a view name result, which is result.jsp under in the object MV. You can go by this, or better to replace both of them into one single statement. This is I will prefer that you are saying that you are creating an object of model view. At the same time, you are using this model and view to pass or call the object or the JSP page, the view. You are saying sum I plus j, and then in that object, model and view object, you are adding the object which is sum. Adding the data sum to the model. Basically, this is a data, isn't it? So you are adding this data into this model. And then you are saying return the model object, model and view object. That's all. Is it clear? So this is another way. It's a very good way of doing things. We will learn better ways as well, but this is one of the better ways. Model attribute is the best one, but we have not come yet. We are just using model and view. So can we run this? Do we need
Yes,
to
sir.
change anything in index JSP? Add MV? Okay, no. Let me see whether it works. What is the index MV? Okay. Now I have to stop this. I have to restart this. Now you tell me, I directly will call the. So what do I call? Index
Index MV.
MV. Because it is calling, see, it is calling the same index page. This page, and this page is nothing but having, oh, sorry. This paging is having all the actions, add request param, and then add MV. Add model view. Let me change over here as well. Okay. You have to give the same mapping. Clear? Now I have to save this one as well. I have to start fresh. I'll just say refresh. When I say refresh, or when I say, you see, I'm calling the which page? Which controller? I'm calling
Model view.
controller model view. It is not calling the home controller, nor it is calling the request controller request, because it is, you see, that is why I have given this identification, model and view. So model and view happens over in this home controller model view. If you think deeply, it is simple. But if you try to understand mechanically, then it is difficult. If you understand the way you can go through these videos again and again to understand each and every word. Then you will understand, okay, I am giving this URL. That's why it is calling that particular controller directly. But I might not have given this one. I could have given directly this one. Then it will call the home page without any, you see, now the home page is requested. So that means this home controller is called, because the home controller has this. It is going to use this request mapping and going to call this function. If I am going to give index MV, press enter, you go there, you see again home page requested model and view was called. That means it is calling this particular function. That's why it is printing this home page requested model and view. But returning index. Therefore, I am getting the same index page, but I have added one more section. So again, I add 30 with 45. I should get 75. Yes, I am getting 75, but you see, you are actually calling this particular action add model view because you have submitted on this. Clear? Add model view. Add model view is part of which part of the index? It's last. So I have definitely have put in my entry over here, submit. If I go back, you will see that I have used the third submit. So the third submit is this one. Add model view. And therefore it is add model view. Clear?
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, why this is again, sorry, repeating again and again, sir?
Because you don't want to get it repeated. Which one you are saying repeated? This one, this page.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, this one, sir.
No, this is not a repeat. You see, this is something else. Some messages are changing. This is for home controller servlet. This is for home controller request param servlet. This is for home controller model view servlet.
Oh, okay, sir, okay, sir.
So
So
because
why model view is better?
uh,
Why model view is better than the previous one?
here you are not getting the difference. Why model view is better than model request param, right? Up till now you have seen request param and model view, but request param is good. Okay, let me open the request param as well. So request param has all this request param, HTTP session, and you are doing this. In home controller model view, you have this request param, num1, num2, no session, but then you are putting the entire model and the view. See, model here, it is an attribute, a parameter. Let's suppose there are hundreds of parameters, or maybe a table, 30 fields, or an entity is having 30 fields. Are you going to keep on giving here? There are only two parameters, num1 and num2. But let's say there is a situation where you are going to pass in 30 fields. So instead of having 30 request parameter, will it not be good if you have the entire entity of 30 fields passed into a model? That's why this is the one view. I'm saying that we are going to use the last one, model attribute. So attribute, you are passing the entire model in form of an attribute in one pass. When I come to this, you will understand why model is important than request parameter. Why model is better than request parameter.
Okay.
Okay. Because you are dealing with an entire entity, not an individual parameter. Request parameter is good if you have only like the num1, num2. But if there was a number of fields, that is, think of a table having more than number of lots of fields, and you want to pass the entire table as a body as a model into the model architecture. So you pass the entire entity. We will come to that. That's why you are not being able to get a importance. Here we are saying that in case you want to pass on the data as well as the view into one structure, you can use model and view. Though here you are just simply passing one, or basically you are adding one parameter or one attribute as an object. Here the use is not highlighted that much, but you will see just after some time why you need to know model, this architecture, this model and view or model attribute. Here you are calling this once. Here you have to call this return result. Here you have to return the object only. That's all, because this object is having the data as well as the view, the model as well as the view. Just you have to add the object, which is the result of I plus j into sum. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Tomorrow, I will let you know what should be the time.
Sir, it will be little bit hectic.
Hectic. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So,
Because if it's going to started from 2 to 4, then 5 to 7 it will react.
4 hours. In fact, 5 hours.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, what do you suggest?
Sir, yes, sir.
What do you suggest?
Sir, can you then start the session at night, sir? It is better.
For me, that is not a problem, but tomorrow in the night, do you prefer?
Yes, sir. 9 p.m., sir.
9 p.m. But then again, that is also the same thing.
Oh, sir.
From 5 to 7, and then you are having 2 hours
Oh,
gap, and then from
yes,
9 to 11. That is more hectic, I think.
yes, sir.
Towards the end of the day, you are getting more exhausted.
Hmm.
Tomorrow morning I will not be available. I have to visit some place. Okay, then we can skip this Saturday, but maybe next Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Next
Sir,
Saturday,
also,
next Saturday morning we can have.
okay, sir.
Morning, I think you don't have any problem.
No, sir. No, sir.
Let's say from 11.
No, sir. No problem, sir.
Okay. Okay. So skip this Saturday. We will check the next Saturday.
Okay, sir.
But many things are there, so we need to have this. I will end the session today.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell me.
Sir, there is a still, sir, there is a lot to cover, sir.
In spring, yes.
No.
We are only 30 to
Okay.
40% done.
Rest, sir. Remaining, what are the topics, sir? Rest, remaining topics.
There are lots of topics.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see how far we can get. This is advanced and all.
Sir, this JPA repository is also in Hibernate or Spring, sir?
Uh-huh.
Sir, this JPA, so the JPA
These are all
ORM.
different technology, but they are all integrated with Spring.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
I will stop the sharing today, and then we can end the session. It is 17:57. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. We will
Thank you, sir.
meet on Monday.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.